Hi, welcome to Nadev Takes Help. Um, we're happy to have you if you're joining us. So, um, we actually thought to start off this program for as many persons that wishes to learn Scratch programming or to learn programming, but understand the foundations of fundamentals of Scratch programming. My name is David Ayo Nsa, but most people call me David Nsa. So you can call me David. Yeah, you can call me David. So I'm a Scratch tutor and a graphic designer, also a software developer and a web developer. So I work with Native Text Hub and we're glad to have you join us. All right. So quickly, I'm just going to do a brief introduction and then we start off. We start off the session. We start off the session today where we get to dive into what Scratch is and what Scratch is. Okay. So once again, for those that are joining, you can always go back to the video. My name is David Insa. Um, all right. Okay. Will be sharing my screen with us. So I'll be sharing my screen with us a lot in the process. All right. So let's get started. Now, what is Scratch programming all about? So Scratch programming is a friendly, it's a beginner-friendly programming interface or application that, or Scratch, at first, Scratch is a beginner-friendly interface or application that helps many persons, or a younger person, an older person, or people that wants to understand how what programming is all about, and it helps them dive into it. Now, what it does is that it helps you run logical activities. It helps you solve problems, and but the way it does it is that you only get to pick and you only get to stack up blocks like the one that you're looking at right here on the screen. So what you're looking at here are blocks. So all you need to do is just pick and drop, and then it does whatever thing you want it to do. So my sprite can actually move. I'm going to introduce the interface, and we're going to talk about a whole lot of things, a basic beginner, a lot of things today. So by next Friday, we're going to do more on it. All right. And then don't forget, I'm going to be dropping the links to join our WhatsApp community. And we have a community for those who wants to learn more programming or some other things that are coming up. All right. Now, what Scratch does is that it helps you stack up these things, and then with each of the blocks um, contains, or they have an action that happens to whatever thing in whatever character you have. So the interface of Scratch is for beginners, yes, and not just that, but you have the ability to create games, you have the ability to create animations and a couple of things. So why is it open to people to all ages? Is that it's very simple to go about, all right? And why do we want teachers and parents to actually join the session, each of our session, is because we believe that children spend more of their time with their parents apart from when they have to go to school. So if a parents understand what their children are learning in school, they will be able to guide them and follow through the whole things, the whole process, even at home. So we're bringing Scratch to simplify programming space for as many that wants to learn, as many that wants to commit into the space, as many that wants to move from whatever skills they have, digital skills they have to take. So we want to help you lay good foundation by in the process of making games. So now I've been on Scratch for a couple of years, and then I've come to understand that Scratch actually looks much like a programming language, Java. So if you look at it more, you would understand thereafter. So without talking much, let's get practical. So what we're gonna do a lot here is practical and all those things. But firstly, we want to celebrate you for joining us, and thank you very much for joining us. And we know that you're gonna have the best of time with us. All right. So quickly, now let's talk about the Scratch interface. So if you want to do programming, here's an opportunity to learn the fundamentals of programming, understand how it works. So we're going to talk a bit, and then we're going to do practical a bit, and then talk a bit, do practical a bit, and all those things. So this is a Scratch interface, but before we get down here, I need to show us how to download this. Now, can anybody do it? Yes. Can anybody use anything to do it? Yes, it is possible. Now, this is how it will be possible. So I'm gonna share us my screen. I'm gonna share you my screen. I'm gonna show you my screen. So I need you to open. I need you to open your favorite browser, and once you open your favorite browser, I need you to follow to follow me to follow through. Okay. So I'm gonna share my entire screen. But what I want to share most is the browser. So just open your browser, and I'm gonna show us how anybody can use any gadget to to learn to learn also. All right. Okay. So once you open Scratch in your browser, I need you to head to Scratch mit.edu. All right. Now, before we talk about downloading and all those things, and there are Scratch for ages, different ages. A kid can actually, sorry, scratch.mit.edu. Any kid can participate. New Scratchers treat everyone with respect. Yes, and then next, and next, and next, and next, and next, and next, and next. I agree. And then boom, we're here. Now the reason why that popped up is because I have an account with the Scratch. I created an account with Scratch community. All right. So if you don't have an account, it takes you to it takes you to a space where you have to learn more about it and all these things. So just let me this and open Chrome. So Chrome, you into the scratch.mit.edu. All right. So this is where you land when if you scratch for the first time and possibly you are not. I think I should have paused that. So once you're here, you have the options of doing so many things. You can create projects. All right. You can create projects. You can explore. You can do new ideas, go on with new ideas, disable notification for all messages, turn off all notification for WhatsApp. Yes. All right, so you can create a new project, and with that, so that means you can actually use your laptop, your phone to make that happen, and then you can actually explore the community, what other persons are doing, have done, actually in Scratch. So Scratch opens door for every person, and then you can get more ideas. You can get more ideas from what people have done in a yeah, from what people have done and from what they've built so far. So it's much like it gives you an advantage to learn from your community. Now, one of the things is you can become a member. You can actually membership, join Scratch, sign in, and all these things. So if you check on my Opera Mini, you see that I am part of the community. So it takes me directly to where I get to see my projects in my own space, my profile. All right. Now, this is if if you don't have a system, a workable system that can run the whole stuff, and then you just want to use a phone. Now, this is what you can do. I'm going to go to Opera Mini. I'm into Chrome. You can open Chrome, Google Chrome on your phone, and then type scratch.mit.edu. All right, and then click enter. Now, for I'm going to do this so we get to see. I'm going to change it into a phone. I'm going to use, how do you call it? Let me just use any phone. Samsung. I love Samsung products, and I also love iPhone. Now, for this, I think I can refresh. So this is what I have. Okay. Let me refresh that. So start creating. So I'm going to click start creating. So, or you can go to your Play Store, your Apple Store, and download Scratch from there into your phones so you can use it. And now, sorry, okay, that's for people that are actually using phones. You can do this, but this is because I'm using a laptop. So for phone, this is how your interface should look like for a phone. You can give it a try. Now, for those that have a system, both Windows and Apple or Chromebook, Chrome OS, this is what you can do. Just go to scratch.mit.edu/download and then click enter. Then if you're using Apple, let's try that. Play Store. If you're using Play Store. If you're using Android. So for Android, what you would see on Android is, how do you call it? Scratch Junior. Scratch Junior. One can use Scratch Junior. All you need to do is understand the whole process, what it's all about, how it flows, and then Play Store Scratch on Play Store. You can also find it here. So now once you do scratch.mit.edu/download, now this is what you have the options. These are the requirements. You have to have Windows 10 or have MacBooks or have Chrome OS or Android 6.0. All right. So any one of these that you have, all you need to do is select. If you have MacBook, select Chrome OS if you have it, or select Android if you have it. Select Windows. Since I'm using Windows, I'm just going to click on Windows and then click on Get It from Microsoft. Now, before now, they gave people an option to actually download directly. You can download the application, the execution file directly into your system, and then install it. But much later, they took it out, and then you have to get it from your Microsoft Office, a Microsoft store. Now, if you're using OS, you can actually grab it from Apple Store, or you get a direct download. So direct download was also part of Windows. All right. Now, if you're using Chromebook, you can also do that. Get it from Play Store. And if you're using Android, get it from Play Store. Just click it, redirects you, or download it and then redirect you to your Play Store. So you can also do this, but this is it's best you do it this way. Now, if you don't have any other this, or you don't want to download it, you can actually use Scratch .mit.edu / create thing that should be created. Okay, project / editor / so all you need to do, you might not be able to hold the whole URL in your mind. Do this, edu, and then click on create. So it automatically take you down there. And now, so the advantage you have for people that are using the web app, the advantage you have over the people that are using the ones that are using Scratch, the Scratch app application, right? The advantage you have is that if you look up here, you see that the only options we have is settings, files, edits, tutorials, debug, and then the title bar, the title space. So other options here is new, load from your computer, save to your computer, and then settings, just language and column. Now, if we go back to Chrome here and check the settings, you see it's the same thing. Now, file, same thing, edit, same thing. But now look over here. What you have is join Scratch and sign in. So once you sign in, it gives you an advantage for your projects to be saved automatically and then uploaded to your own profile. It's much like you're creating your portfolio. All right, you're creating a portfolio for the whole stuff. So the reason why I'm talking this much about this is because I'm trying to walk us through the interface, how you can actually use Scratch for anybody. Anybody can use Scratch. You can use it with any gadget as long as the gadget meets the requirements. Remember, the requirement has to be for Android. The requirement for Android has to be, where's my download? Requirements for Android, your Android version has to be above 6.0, all right? So 6.0 upward, and then you have Windows 10 plus. Though most of the students I teach in schools, in most of the schools they run Windows 7, so you can actually use it. It works, no doubt. But I've seen in one of the systems that it kept on crashing over and over again. So I believe, or so it keeps on crashing over and over again. Now, but you would use it more effectively if you're running Windows 10 upward. And for MacBook, you're looking at 10 points, and then for Chrome OS. All right. So without any further ado, I want to walk you through the interface. Now, for the interface over here, what you have is, sorry, I'm gonna have to, okay. For the interface, what you have here, so usually I love to walk students around everything, even the smallest thing, though they know it. Because I figure out in the process of teaching kids, many of them do not know what these are for. These buttons are for. As simple as it is, it's not as though they're not taught, but in many cases, you have to remind them what it is used for. So, for Scratch interface, what you have is the minimize button. You have the restore button. But once you click this button once, and you see you have an option to maximize it. So you have maximize button still there. And now you have the close button. Now you can actually seek for help over here. You can read through a couple of things. Now you can debug a couple of things also. Tutorials, there are other tutorials. There are tutorials in Scratch where you can learn a couple of things from it, the basic, intermediate, and then there's prompts and so on. Forgive me, I think talking makes me too much. All right. So for this area here, this section is for the title. You have to title your project. I'm gonna title this beginners session. Now, if I go to file and click to save to my computer, you would see that this name appears. But if I didn't actually rename it and just click to save it, you figure out that it tells you scratch project, so you have to rename it yourself. All right. So I'm gonna walk us through that. And now you have edits. All right. So you can edit your environment. You can turn on turbo mode or restore it back to. So I'm gonna turn on turbo mode and then let's do this. I pick this, drop, pick this, and drop, and pick this, and drop, and then click on edit. And now turbo mode is actually to make it faster. Now there is I have, apart from the normal scratch, I have a turbo a WAP for scratch programming also. Now the other features that are unique that I love so much, it's the reason why I have both of them. It's not much different, just some few features. All right. So I can pick this and drop, and then all right, click here and delete 3 blocks from. Click OK. I'm gonna show us how I did that. So it did. If I actually want to do more of my interface, I can use the turbo mode to make it faster, so it responds the way I give it a command. Now for file you can create new projects. If I had this out here, all right, and I had this also had here, and then I want to create a new project, I can click on new project, and then it says replace contents of the current project. I said yes, and then it creates a new project. I can load projects from my computer. So I have a project already, sorry, that I've done. A couple of projects, the maze game. I don't think I've finished in most of this, but the database. I created something on database, but I created something on it, but I didn't save it. So I'm going to go to file. So when I ask you to create a new project, or while you're following us, or you want to create a new project, start working on a new project, you can, all you need to do is go to file, go to new, and then click a new project, and then boom, it opens. It gives you default settings for you to work with. Now I can save to my computer. Now, for many persons, language could be a barrier, but English and made it possible that we can hear a little bit of ourselves, we can communicate a bit of ourselves. So you don't have to try to learn my own language. I'm an ethic, so you don't have to try to learn ethic before you begin, before you can hear. But the thing is that you can actually customize your interface to suit your language, to carry your language. So if I want French, I can actually go for French, and then Francais. I don't actually know how to speak French, but we've been taught French a couple of times. So I learned a couple of it, and I know some of my friends that love French. All right, so now you see everything about the sprite, everything about the interface changes to actually suit the language. So you can do that. Now for people that want to use some other language, you can actually go with other language, even the Arabics and the Chinese, and Chinese and Japanese, and you know. So any language actually works here to make you understand. I've come to learn that learning language and reading in your language gives you depth in terms of understanding. All right. So I'm going to click English. So I'm going to stick with English. Then, okay, let's do this. I'm going to go back to the language. I'm going to click the touch it. Go back to this, and then click, a color mode. I'm going to choose contrast. And then, before we do that, let me use something that I know what I'm clicking. All right, English. So English, and then color mode, original, high contrast. I think I'm gonna stick with original. So these are things you can actually do. Set up your space if you want to. Now the next thing on our list, the next thing, sorry, forgive me. So the next thing here happens to be the next thing I'm gonna show us. I'm showing us here is code, the code tab. You have the costume tab, and then you have the sound tab. All right. For the code tab, there are blocks. These are blocks, code blocks. For each of the blocks, they are categorized into different sections, controlling different things a character would do. But before we get back there, this is what we call a character. Another word for this is a sprite. So if you check it, call it sprite. So sprite will give you sprite name and then sprite. And if you go to the costume, now the name you actually have here is different from here because this controls the costume. The name here is for costume, and while here the name here is for the character. So if you want to get more character, all you need to do is come to choose a sprite and then click to choose, and then you can select the category of sprites you want. So if you need animal category, you want to pick a sprite from the animal section, you can do that. You want to pick a sprite from the people section, you can do that. Now I have a whole video, a video on download, but we're just taking the time to run over the thing. People, fantasy, you need fantasy like the way we talk about in story, Cinderella's, and talk about animal key, some cartoon that has to do with animal. So fantasy, you can actually have it here, and then there is for dance, sprite for dance. So each of the sprite have their own dance, and you can also make your own sprite. Your own sprite. And seriously, I'm gonna walk us through how to make our own sprite as we go on. Now, there are music sprites for music, and then there are sports sprites. We have food sprite, fashion sprite, and then letters. So for letters, you have different kinds of letters. All right. You can actually make your own sprites. I'm going to show us how to do that. All right. So what I want you to do is, if you've joined us, that is great. If you've joined us, that is great. So I want you to follow through. You're free to ask question on. You're free to ask question. You're free to call my attention. Then, if you're watching the video after the whole session had happened, you're free to drop a comment and a question. We'll definitely get back to you. We'll definitely get to answer. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna walk us through another section. I'm gonna walk us through another section. So the one of the place I want to walk us through is in the backdrop. So for backdrop, you have stage for backdrops. This is our stage. So you can change the backdrop of this stage. So you have backdrop 1, backdrop 2, backdrop 3, backdrop 1, backdrop 2, backdrop 3. That means your backdrop 1 can be fantasy, from a fantasy category, it can be from a music category, it can be from a sport category, it can be from outdoor category, indoor category, and then can be from space category, and then also can be from underwater, and also pattern. You can have pattern. All right, so that is for backdrop, and then that's for stage, this particular stage. So if I want to change the stage, I can simply do this. So you have the cat walking on a beach. All right, so if I do not want this sprite, I can delete this sprite. Click yes. I'm sure I want to delete it, and then I bring in another sprite. One of the sprites I love so much is Avery and Abby. I'm going to tell you the reason why I love them. But before I do that, let's just get to know more about the space. So this is Abby standing on the beach. All right. Now, what else do we know about this? Now, if you check on your system, you figure out that we have a session sprite where you can rename the sprite. So you can call it Agnes. All right, so it renames my sprite. You can call it Agnes. And then this has to do with position. If you check, I have the x-axis, y-axis. Then for size, I have 100. And then for direction, I have 90 degrees. Now you see that if you look at Scratch, you figure out that when it has to do with Scratch, everything that deals with science, with programming is involved, because calculation also is involved, positioning, so direction. I can make my sprite move towards or look towards 90 in 90 degrees. I can make it stand or stand at 180 degrees. I can make it stand this way. So I can rotate my sprite to any direction I want. So I can flip it around using this. And then I can reduce the size of my sprite. So how do I reduce the size of my sprite? Over here, I can change the number, make it much bigger, or make the numbers much smaller. All right, so I'm just going to bring back my screen. See the way the sprite is. Now, I can hide my sprite and I can show my sprite. And then over here, now this is called full screen control. Full screen control, there are things you cannot do in full screen control. You cannot move the sprite. But in the other screen, in the other preview, in a previous state, you can actually move your sprite. So the only two buttons you have here on your Scratch is the green flag and then the stop button. This is for go, or this is for, and then while this is for stay. Stop. So if I want to go back to a full screen control, if I want to come out of full screen control, I still need to click it, and then I can move my sprite. So I have two buttons here, and then I have three buttons here. Now, if I want to make this preview smaller, all I need to do is just to click switch to small stage. All right, switch to small stage. Now, so I'm trying to wrap up before 7 o'clock, so we just create a project, a little project, and then we call it a wrap for today by 7, and we drop some videos during the week before Friday. Then we have another session. Now, for this section here, the code block, back to the code block, motion, and what I'll do is going to do enlarge it, and then I'll make this 90. All right. So mostly I refer this to the Canva where I drop all my stuff. You can zoom in, zoom out, right? And every other thing. So motion, looks. Now, if you check the whole categories of this coding block, you see you have motion, you have looks, you have sound, you have events, you have controls, you have sensing, operators, you have variables, and then you have my blocks. Now, within the week, I'm going to be creating, for this week, the coming week, I'm going to be creating a video tutorials on blocks. So we look at blocks, we build programs on block, and then we look at everything. Now, if you want to push more, just feel free to reach out to us, and then we'll make it happen. You can go ahead of us. So motion, now everything about motion happens here. Everything about motion happens here. So now away from motion, I have, you see, each of the block category has color to them. So you see my motion color is different from the looks color, and sound, and then events, and controls, then sensing, operators. I have variables, and then I have my blocks. All right, good. So if I want my sprite to move, what I can do is use motion for movements. If I wanted to change costume, what it's wearing, what it's saying, what it's thinking, I can actually, what direction is it pointing? I mean, what is the size? I can use looks. Motion has to do with movements, around, spinning, rotation, and all those things. And then direction too. Now we have sound. For sound, we're going to deal with also more on sound. We do events. Now we're going to be using events most of the time, because our program cannot start without an event. All right, events are mostly triggers. We triggers our program to get started, and then controls, for controls, we're going to use it to control certain kind of things about our characters or our program. So now if you check for programming, you see you have if then else, you have forever, you have repeat until, a couple of things, and then there's sensing. The sensing category helps you interact with your program, and your program talk back to you. So you do a couple of things. It asks you questions, it looks at color. Now you see that for Lego, for STEM programming, we use either of Scratch, or we use Spikes, and there are so many other platforms you can actually use. But you see, this helps interaction with our program. And then for operators, For operators, you're looking at mathematics happening within your program, but not just mathematics happening. It helps you. It helps the logical part to come into existence too, like calculating this is greater than this is less than this. So if it's less than this, I need to do this. If it's, so we can multiply a couple of things. We can do mathematics on it. And then for variables are mostly help our students understand that variables are containers. So they simply containers, as simple as that. So once you get more into programming, you begin to expand more. So they're mostly containers. It holds a thing for you for a period of time. Then you keep on storing things in there. You can take out things, you can replace things within it. And then there's list also. You can also create your own blog, which is under my blog, but definitely you can actually see it. So my blog, you can use it to create more blogs for different purposes. Now, the more we proceed, the more you get to understand more of these things. So now here you have extensions or plugins or add-ons, all right? This is for video sensing. You can use your camera to send, to actually trigger your program if you want to. You can, if somebody put up the camera, if once somebody walks in, this is what he wants the things to do. You can also actually paint, do music, and everything, every other thing you want to do. All right, so this is, I'm rounding up now. I want to round up with this. One of the simplest game we can actually build with this is catching the ball. I know I should have done this earlier before we started off. We're going to talk about backdrops and sound much later. Those tabs much later. So look at this game. I want us to build a game. Let's call it Catching the Apple. Now we want our app to be. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to say 500 size. No, not 500. 500 is too big. 200. So for 200, a simple game. When the green flag is clicked, we want our apple. Is that apple? That's an apple. Right? It looks like a tomato. Okay, that's a tomato. But that's a fruit, whatever thing it is. So we want it to go to a random position. Right? So once I click, it goes to a random position. Anytime I click. Now, it's so boring that I have to click for it to be a game to go to a random position. All right? So what we can do is that I can click this, take this out, and then go to control and look for repeats. And I can say repeat until click. All right? And so if I do this, once I click, it's going to stop. So I don't want it to do that. I need it to repeat forever. So I'm going to bring in forever. So repeat forever, go to random position. So once I click this, look at what happens. Now you need to catch this. So anytime you click, there needs to be score. Score has to be added to it. So now we can build in that functionality. So to build in that functionality, I need you to be with me in our next class on Friday. Yeah, so where you have to click and then, all right? So what I'll do is that I'm going to save this for our next class. Save to your computer, and then I'll say catching fruits. So you want to know how we can build in such a way that once you click, it keeps on adding number. I need to be with me on Friday next week. So I'll see you guys in our next session, and then please just help us subscribe to our channel, like and share, invite others to come join. I'm going to be dropping videos on the channel within the week before Friday, so you can join. You can go through the videos. Scratch is a very interesting. We're going to make it more lively and all those things. All right. So I'll see you in the next session. Until then, have a good time.